You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, all you weirdos. Jim here, and as most of you know, I haven't been really reading the X-Men books, but there's so darn many of them that I kind of thought that maybe Rec Center, s'mores.
Hello, fellow weirdos. I know you're used to hearing Jim's lilting voice on this channel, but I, Jason, have seized control of the Weird Science YouTube digital airwaves today to let viewers know about something happening on the uncanny side of the Marvel Universe. Wait, hold up. Please don't immediately click that thumbs down button and run off to another channel. I'm going to give you my spoiler-free thoughts on why Uncanny Avengers just might be the perfect jumping on point, even for readers who have not been all that enthralled by the Krakoa-era X-Men. The issue is Uncanny Avengers #1. It's written by Gerry Duggan, a busy guy these days, as he's also writing Invincible Iron Man and the titular X-Men book. But that just might make him the perfect fella to revive this particular title, which has always been about crossing over and teaming up the mutants with the Avengers. The art is by Javier Garron, colors by Maury Hollowell, designed by Tom Muller and Jay Bowen. Now, as you may have heard through the grapevine, the mutants, who had been on top of the world for a couple years now, have had a pretty rough month. They were attacked by Nimrod and Orchis at their very own party, and the characters, the surviving ones anyway, were scattered to the winds. To add insult to injury, Orchis has made it look like the mutants were the aggressors, blaming them for everything from selling bad pharmaceuticals to blowing up human politicians. Even if you're not up to speed on those events, Duggan and Garron do a fine job in this issue of throwing everyone a quick recap through the voice of Ben Urich, famed reporter and current owner of the Daily Bugle. He's kind of like the Marvel version of Lois Lane if you don't think about it too hard. So this book should be pretty darn accessible to any Marvel reader. After the recap, we get a pretty classic putting the band back together story of Captain America recruiting mutants Psylocke and Empath to his rebuilt Unity Squad. Cap knows that the mutants are getting a raw deal, and this team is his way of trying to help them out. Cap's a pretty decent guy, I must say. By the way, this is the Quanon version of Psylocke, as Betsy Braddock is currently running around as Captain Britain. Don't worry about that. So, why should people read this book? Dedicated X-readers should pick this up because it shows how the larger superhero world is reacting to the mutants in their new status as official villains. It ties in directly to Duggan's X-Men book, where a team that includes Kitty Pryde, now calling herself Shadowcat again, and Ms. Marvel, newly determined to be a mutant, are hanging around in the sewers. More than anything else, though, seasoned readers of the X-books will want to keep an eye on this title because it teases to reveal the true identity of that false Captain Krakoa, who has been such a thorn in the mutant side of it. And why should non-X readers consider the title? Well, I think it avoids a lot of the pitfalls that I've heard people complain about in this recent era. In a lot of ways, it does harken back to an earlier 90s, 2000s era of X. It shows mutants as something like their usual hated and feared underdog status. These mutants are acting more like traditional heroes again, even facing off against a new version of that classic villain team, the Mutant Liberation Front. Mutant Resurrection is currently off the table, so putting characters in peril feels, once again, a little bit weightier. We've got Deadpool on the team, but used judiciously in small doses, which, to my taste, is probably the best way to use him, as too much Wade Wilson can quickly overwhelm a title. Even Javier Garron and Maury Hollowell's art has a throwback feel to it, evoking in my eyes something like the digital airbrushing days of the early 2000s. Plus, this is slated to be just a 5-issue miniseries, so there's no major commitment involved. It does tie into the larger post-Krakoa mutant story, but it also feels like it should stand up on its own. And if you decide you like it, great. There's a whole world of X comics out there for you to explore. And if so, I have just the podcast for you. If you'd like to hear more about the other Fall of X books, I cordially invite you to type Weird Science Marvel into your favorite podcast app, which will allow you to eavesdrop on me and my man Ruben as we chat extensively about our favorite wacky mutants each and every week on our Weird Dose of X podcast. That's Weird Science Marvel into your podcast app, and I hope to see you there. Until then, I think I'm going to go and read some more X-Men comics.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
At the local arcade.